Have you ever had to survive betrayal? Somebody turned on you who was once with you, who was on your team, who was on your side, who you thought had your best interest, but then all of a sudden, they just decide they turned at the blink of an eye, like a light switch just going off. You discovered that they truly weren't who they said they were. That commitment was not so much of a commitment. You discovered that association that you had with that person was not as close as you thought it was. That's you. I want you to take several seats right here. This message is for you. I was reading Daniel chapter 3, and what was interesting to me is that the king Nebuchadnezzar basically makes a gold statue, and he calls everybody, all the people, to come and to bow down before the statue. And there's this astrologer, and I don't want you to think too heavy about this, but there's an astrologer who literally goes to the king and tells on these three Jews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that they did not bow, that they refused to bow. Not only are these three Jews that refuse to bow, but these are the people that you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. And so basically what he's saying is these people you have put in charge are the people who are refusing to do what you say. Doesn't that sound like some people who go and tell on us? You know, you thought they were with you, but then they are there to tell the story of just you. Everybody else been doing the same thing as you. I can't help but believe that they were not the only Jews that were there that did not bow. Nowhere in the text does it say that these were the only three Jews that didn't bow. No. It's saying we've singled out these three. Because they are part of who you have put in charge of Babylon. And so I'm singling them out because literally they are refusing, your leaders are refusing to bow. And so they get told on, and they don't even have the time to consider their betrayal. Wow. Now, yes, they did something they shouldn't have done. Or maybe they did the right thing by not bowing down to this statue, to another god, to idolize another god. And so now they have to face a furnace. Now they have to face punishment. Now they have to face condemnation. But I just wonder if and only if that astrologer or astrologers that went and decided to report back to the king, had they not opened their mouths, would anybody have noticed? Because I can't help but wonder if they were the only people. I'm speaking to the people that are always called out It's like being in a classroom. I remember when I was a kid, it's like being in the classroom and the teacher asks you to do something that you are not comfortable with doing, you don't want to do. For instance, there was this particular kid in our class who did not want to say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of class. Now, this particular student was not the only student in the class that did not want to say the pledge, but there were other people who didn't want to say it, but they decided they were going to say the Pledge of Allegiance just for the sake of it, just to get it out the way. They're going to make us say this at the beginning when the bell ring. We just going to say this Pledge of Allegiance so we can get this out the way, because we don't want any problems. We don't want no smoke. So we just going to go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I can't help but wonder if there's anybody who's like that kid that's like, I'm not gonna do this even though they want me to do this. I'm not an American citizen. I'm not gonna say it because I'm not a citizen here. I'm here in America. I'm benefiting off of America, but I'm not a citizen of America. And what we discovered was when this particular person continued to be bold, then there were other people in the class who would say, you know what, we're not citizens. We're not going to pledge because this is not our United States of America. And so they began to make a decision not to do something that wasn't a part of who they were. And it's the same way with these Hebrew boys. They're saying, hey, we're not Babylonian. Y'all tried to give us this Babylonian identity. Y'all tried to make us Babylonian. Matter of fact, you've made us head of the province, the chief of the province of Babylon. But who we are and who we're dedicated to is still the Lord our God. Like, you want us to bow down to these gods, we bow down to the Most High God. And so I can't help but wonder if they were the only ones. They couldn't have been. But because of their leadership, because of their authority, because of their responsibility, they didn't ask for the responsibility. They were appointed this responsibility. They were given, can I be real? Did they really have a choice? I'm just saying. So now when they do have a choice, they decide they are not going to bow. And the very people, the magicians, the astrologers, the ones who are supposed to be able to tell the king's dreams, the ones who are supposed to be able to interpret the king's visions, the ones who are supposed to be able to know what these things mean when the king needs them to have this understanding. The ones that are supposed to be wise, have now turned on them. I would say primarily because jealousy, envy, they get to oversee. Imagine people coming into your kingdom and they come in and they do something better than you. And you were there before them. Y'all know how that is. Y'all come into that new job, you be killing it, right? And you come to that new job and all of a sudden you getting promoted. You ain't asked for the promotion. They gave it to you. And the people that have been there, I'm just saying. And so there's this sense of envy, spite, jealousy against them. And they have to learn, even in a moments of time, how to respond to this betrayal. And their simple response is, I ain't gonna bow to, okay, you caught me. Good for you. It still don't change the fact that now you caught me that if I'm going to bow, I'm still not going to bow. Sometimes we have to learn how to be able to tell people, our superiors, our boss, our managers, even our pastors, our leaders, our small group leaders, our families, our friends. We got to learn how to tell folks, hey, I know you told on me, and okay, cool, but that don't change that don't change my response. That don't change what I'm gonna do. I'ma still not bow. I'm not about to dishonor God because you caught me. I walk out this door before I let you decide for me if I'm going to dishonor God. That's crazy. And sometimes you have to be real in those circumstances. Have you ever gotten promoted? And that's basically what happened to them. They got thrown in the furnace. God was in the furnace with them. They began to walk around in the furnace. I'm doing another video on that, so stay tuned for that. But they begin to walk around in the furnace, and they end up getting promoted as a result of defending their faith. And I think that it's essential for us to understand that we don't have to bow. Even in those situations where the next level is ahead of us, elevation is ahead of us, greatness is ahead of us, our future rides on it. We got to make a decision, because sometimes that's when God does some crazy things. I've literally seen people who just stood up to their boss that one time, and that's all it took. I'm not going to do that. You want me to do this? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to falsify these documents for you. You want it done, you do it. And then it showed their boss the integrity that they had, and they end up getting promoted. And so I've seen people who even, I've seen this firsthand happen. This is a crazy actually experience, where this person stood up to their boss in a conference room, stood up to them, ended up getting fired from their job. But the superior of their boss was like, no, this is too great of an employee for us to lose. He then overrides his boss. Overrides the boss of the guy, and brings him back like a week later. So the guy's the week gone by and literally without a job. But then out of the middle of nowhere, the superior boss calls. The dude is like, hey, I want you to come back to work. We're going to give you a promotion, and you're going to get a raise, of course, with your promotion, because you're too good of an employee. You mean so much value and worth to us. We can't lose you, right? And not only that, when we give you this promotion, you're not even going to work with that previous boss, so you don't even have to worry about him. Sometimes the greatest betrayals end up being the greatest blessings. And I don't mean to just preach prosperity to you, but I want you to see how what was meant to deplete you, destroy you, distract you, devastate you, devalue you, degrade your worth, literally has become the greatest determination of destiny and purpose for your life. And some of us would say it's easier for us to bow. But I think we must consider that while it may seem more fitting, sometimes God will promote us because we were obedient to him. We were disciplined. We were controlled. We chose God over any person, thing, or benefit that could have been coming our way. And because of our faithfulness, God is like, I will open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive. And not all the time is it a direct reaction. I want to be clear about that. Not all the time is it direct. Is it immediate? But I believe firmly that God rewards those who honor, reverence, and stand up for God in the times where they have a choice not to. All right? Hey, don't worry about them people betraying you. Don't worry about it. Let it go, move on, all right?